The game is all about entering into paintings. Peach's castle is almost turned into a museum, with each hall housing a specific painting. Some halls even decorated in a similar fashion to the worlds that the paintings depict. I interpret this in two ways. Maybe the castle always was this way, so the paintings are simply placed in the areas that most suit them. The Jolly Roger Bay painting, for example, hangs in an aquarium. However, another interpretation I liked is to say that the worlds depicted in the paintings are beginning to flood the castle, changing its structure to fit its themes. That the castle's architecture and decoration is built around the paintings, not the other way around. Now, I think both of these readings are operating at once. The game is all designed at the same time, so there is no pre-paintings castle. The castle's architecture is built to accommodate the paintings, from a game design perspective. But at the same time, the castle's coherence as a space cannot be broken, also to maintain the sense that it's one same space, not a bunch of unrelated thematic rooms. For example, the Cool Mountain room isn't filled with snow. I presume this is because a certain realism is being preserved here. The castle is a castle. All of its rooms have a similar design. They all fit. So, to continue, the paintings are having to be accommodated to the castle's architecture. And because both of these dimensions are operating at once, because of how the game is designed, the whole notion of past and future gets muddled up here. Did the castle exist before it was taken by Bowser? Was the castle empty just as Mario entered it? It's as if the castle is architecturally designed to be a taken castle, and it's as if Bowser's method of taking is harmoniously accommodated to the castle's prior architecture. So when Mario enters and sees that it is empty, is he seeing a castle that was full, but is now empty? It seems to me that what he is seeing is a castle that is archetypally taken. It is designed as a haunted house, but not until this was seen by Mario could the forces that are taking it play out. In this sense, the game feels like a dream or like a psychedelic experience, since the act of perceiving it is almost what brings it into existence and allows the forces to play out and hopefully heal. It's as if there was a huge sorrow that isn't being felt. This sorrow will be affecting all of your life. And if it ever comes to the surface and you see it, you perceive it, it will feel as if something bad is suddenly happening after a long period of nothing bad at all, in your opinion. But it seems to me that something good is happening, since something bad had always been happening. This sorrow had always been hidden below consciousness. Mario 64 feels like this. You enter the castle and get the terrible news that war has broken out. The Mushroom Kingdom is corrupt. Peach is taken by a tyrant, Bowser. But really, the Mushroom Kingdom has always been corrupt. Peach has always been taken by Mario. She serves the hidden purpose of confirming his dominance as hero, that he is in control whereas she isn't. This is a pattern that has always been playing out. Mario is having to work for a system that benefits from him while he toils on. It's an eternal wheel of misery. But upon entering the castle, Mario sees all this as if it were the work of an evil, shadowy figure. He sees it all, yes, but as something distanced from himself. The act of seeing is key here. It is the first step in confronting this shadow material. Mario sees things. That's almost all he does. He stares at paintings. By staring at them, he interacts with them. But a painting, usually, is something you stand in front of and perceive, look at. This is all the castle is, a place where you perceive things. At the same time, Mario is being filmed at all times by the Lakitu brothers. He himself is being perceived. A few of the enemies are literally eyeballs, staring at him. To be perceived by these eyeballs is a bad thing. It is somehow painful. It drains his life. The paintings, as 2D surfaces that hide a 3D world behind them, are similar to our own screens, where the game is being played and perceived by us. Considering that Mario is someone who comes from the darkness, where it is hard to see things, and is heading towards the light, where things are clearly illuminated, It seems that this game is about seeing things that were before shrouded in darkness, and it seems that the things that are to be seen are painful things. They are images of war and unfreedom. Seeing them and being seen seems to be painful and involve painful things. However, the imagery used is also one of spiritual ascent, as if the higher one rises, the more divine things become, the closer to heaven one gets. Getting up to heaven, however, seems to involve descending down to hell. Or, in other words, getting up to heaven seems to involve bringing a torch down to the depths and seeing what is down there. One collects coins that are decorated like stars, somehow linking this theme of light and illumination with money and material gold. It seems as if another ascent is being presented here. The castle isn't just a climb up from darkness into light, it is also a climb from Mario, a plumber, towards Peach, a queen. The ascent up to light is being equated with an ascent up the social ladder, towards greater and greater material wealth. The coins are stars, so the more coins you have, the more light, the closer up to the starry sky. Mario has this ascent inscribed into his very clothes. The bottom half is blue, like water. The top half is red, like fire, already echoing this ascent from the unconscious water of the plumbing system towards the illuminated sun, the star, where his name is M, his identity. Money is health. When depleted, money allows himself to exist, to express himself. Freedom requires certain material conditions. As a symbol for the working class, I think the fact that he collects money, apart from being a video game trope, is resonant with his role as someone who works for wages. Mario survives by, his health bar depends on, collecting money. Peach would presumably not need to, and she exists at the top of the castle, sometimes even floating in the sky. By ascending up the castle, Mario is not only acquiring awareness, he is getting closer and closer to the symbolic role of monarch, of owner of the means of production. The weird thing is that the process of gaining awareness is making him see everything he was ignoring before, that he is complicit with the tyranny that is kidnapping Peach, that he is one with Bowser. At the same time, the visual symbolism of the game also seems to be suggesting that Peach is Bowser also, that they are two sides of the same coin. So the process of acquiring the means of production isn't a traditional rising up to power and individual material wealth, becoming a capitalist. It is realizing that he already was in power and stepping down. For Peach, presumably, it is realizing that despite it seeming like she was in power, in fact she wasn't. She was a pawn in maintaining Mario's power. Peach had spiritual power but no material power. Mario had material power but no spiritual power. This is the reverse of how the ego was presenting it. Peach, dressed as a monarch, seems to have material power, but in fact she can't do what she wants in the material world. She is used as a puppet. Bowser almost represents the mediation between Mario and Peach, the shadow material through which their interactions occur, and his appearance serves as a mirror in which to see reflected that which was invisible. Mario's kidnapping of Peach, for example, is not easily seen. It is very abstract. It involves the relationship between them. Bowser's kidnapping is a very blunt, materially visible representation of that. Mario seems to be someone with a lot of magical powers, of spiritual wealth, but very little material wealth. However, the material conditions he exists in are tailor-made to maintain his power. By having to rescue Peach, he stays in control. Bowser mediates this relationship. By attacking Mario and trying at all costs to prevent him from reaching the monarchy, he is visually representing the material conditions that Peach exists in and how those conditions are waging systemic violence on Mario. The stereotypical binary gender roles are here trying to dialectically transcend each other. Peach visually is delicate, spiritual, a person of great spiritual power. The female character, then, doesn't get to do what she wants to do. She can't run around in circles, jump on trees, and interact with the material world in the free way Mario can. And here I am referring to the Peach character in this game. Her individual material freedom is gone, but the material conditions she exists in provide greater freedom than Mario's. The material wealth she stands on is not reflected in her character, so it is Bowser who, through his tyrannical attack on Mario, provides a visual representation of it. He brings it to light. Mario is manly, material, he can do what he wants in the material world as an individual, but has no spiritual wealth as a character. However, he does. He is the owner of the reigning ideology, which is an enormous spiritual wealth. Bowser here too provides a visualization for this. Bowser's kidnapping of Peach represents the violence that is systemically inflicted on her by Mario's spiritual wealth, his ownership of the ideology of male dominance. And let's remember that this game was created by a team composed mostly of men, if not entirely, so the imagination that went into it was an imagination backed up by exactly the same kinds of privileges that Mario has as a representative of the reigning ideology. So this dialectic that is playing out in the game between Peach and Mario, the archetypally feminine and the archetypally masculine, is a dialectic that is playing out in the imagination of men. The dialectic between the working class and capital is playing out within a franchise that was one of the biggest selling at the time. I don't mean to accuse the individual people who made this game. I don't know how wealthy or unwealthy they were as individuals, and I don't know how comfortable or uncomfortable they felt with the masculine gender role itself. But clearly the game sits within wealth and within masculinity. So the potentially anti-capitalist and feminist reads are interesting because they run counter to the forces of the status quo. So the forces that try to maintain Peach and Mario as certain stereotypes of male and female roles are running counter to the forces that use Mario and Peach for almost non-gendered symbols for ego and superego, mind and matter, etc. Relationships which, when perceived by the player, have the potential to affect the player's psyche, since they are presumably bringing into awareness abstract issues which are connected to the status quo's very being. So by engaging with the status quo imagery, this damsel in distress story, this story of a worker being grateful to his employers, the player has the potential to bring to awareness, and therefore become unbound from, the unconscious effect these status quo forces were having.